Apostle Paul says, the eyes of your understanding being enlightened, that ye may know what is the hope of his calling. Not your calling, but his calling. There is a hope, there is an expectation, there is something he wants to achieve for which he called you. Are you there? And if the eyes of your understanding is not enlightened, there is no way you can stumble on the knowledge of what he had in mind for which he called you. The hope of his calling talks about is an eternal purpose, something beyond time that was formed and sustained in his heart as a desire, and he was restless. He wanted to accomplish that which was forged on his heart. It was a product of his counsel that was taken in himself. All right? That it was that counsel that he took in himself, which is sustained upon his heart, that is the reason for which he called you. And there is no way you will know why he called you, or what he called you for, or what he wants to achieve, except the eyes of your understanding is enlightened. It means that you will never know the reason for your existence if you don't receive spiritual knowledge. In the book of Colossians, the Bible says that all things were made, in him, all things were made by him, and in him does everything consist. That means the meaning of you can only be sourced in him. And if the eyes, it doesn't matter, maybe you made the first class and you got honors, and your name, you were on BBC waving a hand of excellence. If the eyes of your understanding is not enlightened, that recognition will become a blindfold that will even complicate your life even more. Because you will feel a sense of importance because you were recognized. But you don't know that in that state of false success, you are even more, might even lack the humility that is needed for you to source your essence, your meaning from him who is the Christ. It's a by him all things consist. So if I'm going to find out what I'm ordained to be, ordained to do, what I should be spending money on, I will need to find out from him. It will take spiritual knowledge for me to enter into the economy of that reality. So without spiritual knowledge, there is no way you can understand the hope he had in mind before he called you. And I assure you, if you find out from him what he called you to do, when you look at yourself in the mirror, you don't look like it. In fact, the day he tells you, you will quit, because you know you don't even have the ability to prosecute it. You will still need to depend on him to supply the grace. If you don't need grace to do it, it's not true. You have not found it. You have not found it. You have not found it. It's not intellectual. The Bible says we are able ministers of the new covenant. We have become able, not according to the letter, but according to the spirit. There is a spirit supply that is responsible for our equipping, for our ability. All right? If you don't have that spirit supply, you will see yourself in the light of insufficiency, which is a proof that yes, that calling is valid. If you stumble on your calling and you feel you have what it takes to prosecute it, sit down. It's not your calling. It's not your calling. It's a hobby. I was born a stammerer. And when I checked, I found out that I was called to preach the gospel, to be a teacher of nations. How do you do that? Stammering. And meanwhile, I asked the angel that read it out of a scroll to me. I asked him, okay, hey, stop that. Stop that. How does a stammerer preach the gospel? That was a crime I would never commit again. Because I didn't know that some angels were so difficult to appease. He stopped reading, then he shouted. You know how the shout sounded? Thunder. Yes. Thunder. What we call thunder was the shout of that angel. I assure you, there are powers beyond imagining in the realm. And Jesus will, through his spirit, will be introducing you gradually. Because if he exposes you to some things, you will